Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 20 years ago, I went to Canada for a summer school as well as admission in a PhD program. In the summer school, there was a guest speaker, and her topic was difference between decade and developed nations. I may not remember the whole talk, but what I do remember is this. She said, decade nations live in the past and developed nations live in the future. And this suddenly opened a window in my mind because I knew there were things that were ailing my country, and like many other ambitious people, I was also considering emigration, but I also knew the reason why this ailment was. It was our own past orientation. And that was not just then. Even data today establishes that. There are two data pieces I can share with you. On your left is called Future Orientation Index. It's based on 1 billion Google searches, and this was published in The Guardian in February 2013. So Germany was the most forward-looking country, and Pakistan was at the last. And this was a list of 45 top economies at that time. And I would think even if they were like many other economies, probably Pakistan would still have come at the bottom. On our right is a data from someone called Geert Hofstede. It's a live interactive tool where you can look at different cultures. And Pakistan's score in LTO, which is long-term orientation, is 0, again from 2013. So very decent data. But what happened after this course, that summer school? Two things. One, I didn't need to emigrate, and probably I also didn't need a PhD, although I spent some time in West pursuing my PhD. And also an interest in future arose. And that was a great journey. So when I came back, I also started studying about Pakistan and its future, and I also started talking about that in my teaching plans. So for example, this blog is written by one of my alumni at a course which I taught in Karachi 10 years ago. So this is a 2006 blog, and that alumni is writing about 2035, and he is imagining what kind of Pakistan will be there. Okay. So the lesson of this talk is this. With data, the future is different. And I'll share with you right now what's happening. For example, let's look at this today, Pakistan of today. On all indexes, all global indexes, Pakistan is nearly at the bottom ranking of all these indexes. For example, we are the 5th largest terrorist-prone country or terrorist-hit country. On political fragility, we are 14th. If we look at our nationality or our passport, we are the 2nd worst in the world after Afghanistan. Our corruption index, we are 117. So where there's a larger number, which means the larger is poor, where there's a smaller number, which means the smaller is poor. So similarly, livability. So Karachi is 6th least livable city in the world. If we look at doing business in World Bank ranking, Pakistan is 138 on ease of doing business. So all of these rankings are really quite bad news, but that's today. And I'll share with you how this changes as we access the data in the future. So let me take you to in 2050 of Pakistan. The way it has become my purpose, I would want it you to be your purpose as well. Okay. Although I can also say that, as they say, only a fool can try to predict the future because usually embarrassment comes. But that actually is our job. Okay, this is the top 10 economies in 25, at the end of 25. So you can say US is $18 trillion economy, and that's their GDPs. So number 2 is China, and then, so this is today's list. I'm sure Pakistan is not even in top 10 or top 20. But let's look at this 2050. Pakistan is 18th largest economy in the world in 2050. And it's a $3.3 trillion economy. And this data from Goldman Sachs, which is the world's largest investment bank and 76th on the Fortune 500 list. And this I took from BBC. And another data, there's another measure which is called GDP purchase power parity, and on that, we will be 15th largest economy, and the data is from PricewaterhouseCoopers, of which we have a presence in Pakistan as well. So you can see that over there. So Pakistan is going to become 15th on purchase power parity. Okay, and another data based on BMI Research UK, and they are saying these are the 10 countries which are going to add $4.3 trillion over the next 10 years. It's like creating another Japan. And this from World Economic Forum, Switzerland, which has this Davos every year. So that's a long term. Let me also take you the medium term. So 10 years from now, year 2025, what happens there? So you can see Pakistan is going to, Pakistan's growth rate, GDP growth rate is over 5%. And that's, if you can see this, India, Kenya, Uganda, these are some of the countries which have highest growth rate, but Pakistan is not really behind. Pakistan is one of the fastest growing country. And another data, and that's a live data by economists. You can go to their website and look at any variable. So for example, I looked at 2016, and I can see, and GDP growth. So I can see Pakistan is world's 5th fastest growing economy, and the most fastest growing economy in the Muslim world. So that's another data which supports what we are going to achieve in 2050. Okay, so the data that I showed you in 2050, we don't need to wait for 2050 or 2030 to see its relevance. Here I'm showing in 2016, as of now, if you look at China, China is already a $20.8 trillion economy in purchase power parity on the right hand. And India is already number 3. So the difference between China and USA is already 2.5 trillion. So that's a lot. So that means this is probably will be happening even before the 2050 threshold. Okay. So that's our one advantage. We are fastest growing, and all the world is betting on us. The second is our GPS, where we are located. And I would call it, we are at the center of future world. Okay. Pakistan is the only large country which borders both these two economies that I just showed you, China and India. The other two countries are Nepal and Bhutan, and they are small countries. And if I can show you how they are contributing to the world economy, you will be surprised. For example, look at your left. In 2010, only 5 years ago, the difference between these three countries and the rest of the world was like half. So its contribution to world economy. And if you come to 2015, the rest of the world is only half a point contribution. So it's only the three countries of which we are neighbor to the two. So this is where the whole economic growth is coming. Another measure, foreign direct investment. So if I show you on the left, first 6 months of 2015, India received $31 billion of foreign FDI. Pakistan only received less than $1 billion. But let me share with another measure. In 6 months, there are 26 weeks. And $31 billion means every week someone comes to India and they say, we have this $1.1 billion. Please take this and let us do business here. Let us set up a factory here. So that's the kind of, when I showed that data initially, the whole year data was not available, but on the right is like 2015's data. So India, the same pattern carried, and it's $63 trillion in 2015. Okay, number 3 and final point is China's OBOR. Have you heard of OBOR before? No? It's called One Belt, One Road. It's China's initiative to make roadways and motorways and also maritime roads, and this is a naval place, maritime roads to all over Europe, all of Middle East, all of Africa, and all of Asia Pacific. So this means probably no place is going to be spared from China's growth plans. So this is Obor. It's a $225 billion project, which will easily go into $1 trillion in a couple of years. It has 6 corridors, and one of the corridor is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is a $46 billion. And that's our neighbor. Okay. Now, many people today feel uncertain whether CPEC will happen or not. Even yesterday, I was at a PTV News live show in the evening, and there was a talk whether, how much difficulty will it happen. And I was quite clear that this is going to happen at all places, in all possibilities, because China won't let anybody jeopardize that. And incidentally, there was also a question, because it was PTV, there was also a question whether there will be escalation with India or not. And because I'm accessing data, so on a live TV show, I said that this tension won't escalate. There won't be any war with India. And the way I was so categorical, it was only because I accessed the data. Because India couldn't let its $36 billion of FDI just ruin because they want to fight with someone. Okay, so this is CPEC. If you look at the journey, it's 13,000 kilometers if something goes from a naval route to Strait of Hormuz. But if it takes from Kashgar to Gwadar, it's only 2,000. So China is saving about 11,000 kilometers. So that means it's going to happen anyway. And in terms of days, a 45 journey will be reduced to 10 days. And some of this data is already in this article, which is called the Pakistan 2050 Opportunity. This Independence Day, it was the lead article of the news. And since that time, it has been tweeted by Prime Minister's daughter. It has been tweeted by many ministers. Even it has been tweeted by many economists. So I'm sure you can have a look at that as well. Okay, so it's not just Pakistan that's getting better. It's the whole world. And there are people who are seeing this. I'll just show you three variables. For example, extreme poverty. So if you look at 1800, extreme poverty, this is red color is extreme poverty, plenty of poverty, but people who are outside the extreme poverty, very small. Coming to 2015 end, you can see a very large percentage in population are outside extreme poverty, and by 2050 or 2100, this is the trend that will carry on. And this from One World in data, Max Rosel. Similarly, in terms of global malaria deaths, you can also see it has become half only in 15 years, and the trend will continue. And another something, because when I mention about Pakistan 2050 data, many people say to me, when it's too far away, we won't be living at that time. And I would say, if you are 50 today, chances are you are going to see the 2050 world, because many people will easily live up to 100 or more years. So people who are sitting in this hall, many chances are that we all will see that happening, inshallah, before our eyes. Okay, so you can see that, and Pakistan and Canada, both countries are already here. You can see them. Okay, also in terms of access to improved drinking water, and you can see Pakistan is in the same color as many Western countries are. So good things are happening globally, and people who are looking at 2050 or 2100 data, they say the whole world have probably similar access to clean drinking water as well. Okay, so the final point, we are not a high-performing economy yet, but time to up the game is now. And I would say, if you are worried about the future, or if you are thinking of emigrating, or even if you are Pakistani diaspora, living in Canada, Australia, America, Europe, anywhere, here is the promise to you. Come back to this country. If you have made it over there, many chances are that you will also make it here. So don't. And Peter Drucker, I'll end my talk here. Peter Drucker says that long-range planning doesn't mean it doesn't deal with our future decisions. It deals with the future of our present decisions that we have taken today. Thank you very much.